Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Profitable Mindset podcast. Bitcoin is hitting the news again.
It is.
It's just completely smashing through those old records and hitting a new all-time high.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I know some of you are probably like, woohoo, let's go. And some of you are probably feeling a little bit of that FOMO.
Yeah.
You know, that fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Either way, it's definitely got everyone talking.
It has.
So I wanted to go a little bit deeper than just the price ticker today and really explore why this matters.
Absolutely.
What it means for the future of finance, how this is going to impact you, your money, and your journey.
I think that's the key, right? It's really easy to get caught up in all the excitement or the fear, but what we really need is perspective.
Yeah.
We need to understand what's really happening here.
Exactly. And let's be real.
Yeah.
There are definitely some people out there who are saying this is a bubble.
Of course.
That it's ready to pop.
Yeah.
Bitcoin does have a history of being volatile.
Huge swings.
Huge swings. Do you remember back in 2017?
Oh, yeah.
Those are some stressful times.
Definitely white knuckle moments.
Absolutely.
But, I think dismissing Bitcoin just because it can be volatile is like saying you're never going to drive a car because you could get into an accident.
Right.
Like, there are risks for sure.
Of course.
But there's also huge potential.
Yeah.
But to understand that potential, you need to know the tech behind it, the factors that are driving people to use it.
Right.
And, even how the market thinks and feels about it.
The psychology.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break this down. What's actually fueling this rally beyond just the excitement?
I think it's a lot of things coming together at the right time.
Okay.
But one of the biggest things is you've got these big institutions getting involved now.
Yeah.
And it's not just small companies messing around anymore.
Right.
We're talking about big names.
Huge names.
Like Tesla, MicroStrategy, even BlackRock.
Oh, wow.
They're putting some serious cash into Bitcoin. They're starting to see it as a real asset, a store of value in a world that just keeps getting crazier.
That's true. Yeah, and it's not just about those companies buying up Bitcoin directly either, right?
Right.
You've got the ETFs now.
The ETFs have been a game changer.
They have. Now, anyone with a brokerage account can get in on the action.
Exactly.
Without having to worry about all the complicated stuff.
Yeah, like wallets and keys and all that.
Yeah.
ETFs have opened the door for so many new investors.
Yeah. And then you've got the whole macroeconomic situation.
Ugh, don't even get me started.
Right. Inflation is at a level we haven't seen in decades.
It's nuts.
The dollar's getting weaker.
Yep.
And nobody knows what's going to happen with the global economy.
It's a mess out there.
Remember a few years ago when everybody was piling into gold?
Oh, yeah.
Looking for a safe haven?
Right.
I feel like we're seeing some of that same energy flowing into Bitcoin now.
Definitely some parallels there.
It's like that saying, when the tide goes out, you see who's swimming naked.
Right.
Yeah. The traditional financial systems are really being put to the test.
They are.
And people are looking for alternatives.
Absolutely.
And Bitcoin, with its fixed supply, its decentralized nature, and its resistance to censorship, is starting to look pretty good to a lot of people.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got institutional adoption, ETFs, global anxieties.
Yeah. What else is fueling this Bitcoin fire?
Right. What else?
Well, don't forget about the constant tech improvements happening in the Bitcoin world.
Oh, yeah. It's constantly changing.
It is. Take the Lightning Network, for example.
Okay.
It's making Bitcoin transactions so much faster and cheaper than they used to be.
So much faster.
Yeah. This is solving one of the biggest problems that Bitcoin used to have, its ability to scale.
Right.
And then you've got all the crazy stuff happening in DeFi, decentralized finance.
I feel like DeFi is like a whole other conversation in itself.
Oh, totally.
But it just goes to show that Bitcoin isn't just sitting still. It's a constantly evolving thing.
It's a whole ecosystem constantly growing and changing. So it's attracting a lot of smart people.
Oh, yeah. Some of the brightest minds in tech and finance.
Yeah. They're building new applications, finding new things to do with it.
And pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain tech.
And that's attracting even more users and investors.
Absolutely. It's like a snowball effect.
So we've talked about why Bitcoin is surging, but what about the arguments against it?
Right. We have to look at both sides.
We do. Let's be fair.
Let's hear from those Bitcoin bears, the skeptics, the people who are saying this is all going to come crashing down.
Okay, so what are their concerns?
Well, they're not totally wrong to be worried.
Okay.
Bitcoin has had some huge ups and downs in the past.
It has.
And yeah, there's always a chance that this rally could be driven by hype that eventually fades away.
Right.
You know, it reminds me of the early days of the internet.
Oh, the dot-com bubble.
Exactly. Lots of excitement, tons of money flowing in, but a lot of those companies didn't actually have anything real to offer.
So how do we separate what's real from what's just noise?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. How do we know if this Bitcoin rally is the real deal?
It comes down to understanding both the technical and the fundamental stuff.
Okay.
On the technical side, we can look at the charts, the trading volume, all those indicators to try and get a sense of where the market is going.
Got it.
But equally important is what we call fundamental analysis. That means looking at how many people are actually using Bitcoin, how strong its network is, how the technology is developing, and what it can actually be used for in the real world.
So it's not just about the numbers on a screen.
Right.
It's about how Bitcoin is actually being used
Exactly.
in real life.
And that's where things get really exciting because we're seeing Bitcoin being used for more than just buying and selling.
For real.
Yeah. People are using it for things like sending money across borders,
Right.
making payments, even as a way to store value in countries where the local currency isn't stable.
So it's becoming more than just a digital asset.
It is. It's becoming a real tool for financial empowerment.
And that's something people all over the world can get behind.
That's the power of this technology.
All right, so we've got the bulls, the bears, the tech, the macroeconomics,
Yeah. What about us?
right? What about the human element?
Yeah, the psychology of Bitcoin.
Because
Let's be real.
let's be real, emotions play a huge role.
Huge in how the market moves.
Absolutely. Fear and greed can really mess with your head.
Totally. You know, I definitely felt that myself.
I think we all have.
You see the price of Bitcoin going up and you just want to jump in.
Yeah, FOMO is real.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to miss out.
It's so easy to get caught up in the frenzy.
And that's why it's so important to have a plan.
Yes.
You need to know how much risk you're comfortable with.
Right.
And don't let your emotions take over.
Absolutely. Have a strategy and stick to it.
So let's talk strategy for a minute.
Okay, let's do it.
What advice would you give to our listeners?
Well, first off, I have to say, there's no one right way to do this.
Of course.
Everyone's situation is different. Everyone has different goals.
Right. But for people who are brand new to all this,
Yeah,
I always say start with learning.
absolutely.
Take some time to really understand Bitcoin, how it works, the risks, the different ways to invest.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there.
It can be overwhelming,
It can, but don't just jump in because everyone else is doing it.
right? Knowledge is power.
Absolutely, especially in a market like this.
So once you have that knowledge, what's next?
Then you can start to think about different investing strategies.
Okay.
For some people, it might be something called dollar cost averaging.
Dollar cost averaging.
Yeah, it's where you invest a little bit of money at regular intervals.
Okay.
That way you can smooth out the ups and downs of the market.
That makes sense.
For other people, it might be looking at different cryptocurrencies or investing in companies that are working in the blockchain space.
Oh, that's interesting.
But no matter what you do, never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Yeah, that's crucial advice.
Cryptocurrency is risky.
It is.
You could lose everything. Treat it with respect, do your research, make smart decisions.
Great advice. Okay, so we've got education, strategy, risk management.
What else do people need to know?
What else should our listeners keep in mind as they navigate this exciting but sometimes overwhelming world of Bitcoin?
Don't get discouraged if you feel lost sometimes.
It's a lot.
It is. It's okay to feel a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Just stay curious, keep learning, and connect with other people who are on this journey with you.
Yeah, the community aspect is so important.
It is. There are online forums, social media groups, even meetups in person
Wow.
where you can connect with other people who are into Bitcoin.
Right.
You can share what, support each other. It's a great way to learn.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here in this first part of our Bitcoin conversation.
Yeah, we have.
We talked about what's driving this rally, the arguments for and against Bitcoin,
Right.
the importance of understanding both the technology and the psychology behind it all,
Absolutely.
and some strategies for navigating this new world.
It's an exciting time to be in this space.
It is. But we're just getting started.
There's so much more to talk about.
When we come back, we'll dive deeper into the potential risks and challenges that Bitcoin is facing,
Can't wait.
the innovations on the horizon, and what it all means for the future of finance.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
Before the break, we were talking about all the things driving Bitcoin's price up, the good and the bad, and how to start thinking about this new type of asset.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about.
It really is. I mean, on one hand, you've got Bitcoin breaking records left and right.
Yeah,
Big investors jumping in, new technology popping up all the time.
it's exciting.
It.
But then there's that volatility. We can't forget about that.
Yeah.
And the regulations, nobody really knows what those are going to look like. And then there's the whole environmental question.
That's a big one.
It is. People are worried about it.
You've brought up some really important points. It's this mix of potential and uncertainty that makes Bitcoin so fascinating and, yeah, maybe a bit scary for some people.
Absolutely.
But that's why we're here, right? To help you understand it all.
Exactly. So let's talk about that environmental impact.
Okay.
Because there's been a lot of talk about how much energy Bitcoin mining uses.
There has.
What's the real story there? Is it something we should be worried about?
It's definitely a valid concern, and it's something that the Bitcoin community is trying to address.
Okay.
The reality is that the way Bitcoin works, how transactions are verified and added to the blockchain, does take a lot of energy.
Okay.
But I think it's important to look at this from different angles.
Okay, so break it down for us. What are those different angles?
Well, first of all, you see these reports comparing Bitcoin's energy use to entire countries. I think those comparisons are misleading.
How so?
Bitcoin is a global system.
Right.
It's decentralized, meaning it's not controlled by any one person or entity. It runs 24/7. It provides security and transparency for millions of people all over the world.
So the energy it uses is what keeps the whole thing running.
Exactly. It's what keeps all those transactions safe.
So you're saying it's not just about the amount of energy.
Right.
It's about what you get for that energy.
Exactly. Think about hospitals. They use a ton of energy too, but they're also saving lives.
Right. You can't just look at the energy bill.
You have to weigh the costs and benefits.
Okay, that makes sense, but I still think it matters where that energy comes from.
Absolutely.
If it's all coming from fossil fuels,
Right.
that's not good.
I agree. And that's why there's a big push in the Bitcoin mining industry to switch to renewable energy.
So using things like solar and wind power.
Exactly. We're seeing more and more mining operations powered by those kinds of sources.
So it's not a static situation.
Definitely not.
The industry is changing.
It's evolving and adapting. And it's happening for a couple reasons.
Okay.
One is environmental responsibility, but the other is just good business sense.
How so?
Well, renewable energy can be cheaper in the long run,
Okay.
and it can be more reliable too. So it makes sense for miners who want to make more money.
So it's good for the environment and good for business.
Exactly. And as the technology keeps improving, we're probably going to see even more efficient mining methods in the future.
Like what?
Well, one interesting thing is the use of something called stranded energy.
Stranded energy.
Yeah, it's excess energy that's generated from renewable sources but isn't being used.
Oh, wow. So it's just going to waste.
It is, but Bitcoin mining can actually use that energy.
So you're taking something that would be wasted and putting it to good use.
Exactly. It's like turning a problem into a solution.
That's amazing. Okay. So we've talked about the environment.
Yeah.
But let's be real. There are other risks and challenges that Bitcoin faces.
For sure, it's not all sunshine and roses.
What are some of those?
I think one of the biggest ones is regulation.
Ah, yes. The government.
Governments all over the world are still trying to figure out what to do with Bitcoin.
Right. It's new.
It is. And so you've got some countries banning it completely while others are embracing it.
It's all over the place.
It is. You've got El Salvador making it legal tender.
Wow.
And then you've got China cracking down on it.
It's a mixed bag for sure.
It really is. And this uncertainty makes things tricky for investors and businesses.
So how do you navigate that? How do you make good decisions when the rules are constantly changing?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed.
So,
Know what's happening with regulations in the places where you're operating or investing.
so do your research.
Exactly. And talk to legal experts. Diversify your investments.
Okay. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. And be prepared for things to change quickly.
So stay agile.
Exactly. Another risk is market manipulation.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the Bitcoin market is still relatively small
Okay.
compared to traditional markets like stocks or bonds.
Right.
So it's easier for big players to move the price around.
So whales, pump and dumps, all that shady stuff.
Exactly. And that's something that regular investors need to watch out for.
So how do you protect yourself from that?
Again, diversification is key. But you should also do your research, choose exchanges that have a good reputation,
Okay.
and don't fall for those get-rich-quick schemes.
Right. If it sounds too good to be true.
It probably is. And never underestimate the importance of community.
Okay.
Talking to other Bitcoin enthusiasts, sharing information, that can really help you avoid those traps.
So it's like a safety net?
In a way, yeah. There's strength in numbers.
All right. So we've got regulation, manipulation, and the importance of community.
What else?
What other risks and challenges are out there?
Well, security is always a big one in the crypto world.
Okay.
Remember, Bitcoin is decentralized, which means you're responsible for your own security.
So there's no bank to call if something goes wrong.
Exactly. If you lose your private keys, your Bitcoin is gone.
Oh, wow.
And there's no getting it back.
So it's like carrying around a stack of cash.
It is. You have to be careful and protect it.
So use a secure wallet, strong passwords, be careful about scams.
Exactly. You have to be vigilant.
But let's not focus too much on the negative,
Right.
because despite all those challenges, Bitcoin is constantly evolving and getting better.
It is, and that's what makes it so exciting.
It's always pushing the limits.
And one area where we're seeing a lot of progress is scalability.
Oh yeah, we talked about the Lightning Network earlier.
Right. That's already making things faster and cheaper.
Right.
But there are other cool developments coming down the pipeline.
Like what?
Things like layer 2 solutions and side chains.
What are those?
It's kind of like building new lanes on a highway.
Okay.
So more cars can get through faster.
So you're basically increasing the capacity of the Bitcoin network.
Exactly. And that's super important if Bitcoin is going to be used for everyday payments.
Because nobody wants to wait hours for their transactions to go through.
Nobody. We're used to things happening instantly.
We are.
And another area I'm excited about is privacy.
Okay.
Bitcoin transactions are pseudonymous.
Meaning?
It means they're not directly linked to your real name,
Okay.
but it's still possible to trace those transactions.
So it's not truly anonymous?
Not completely, but there are new technologies being developed to make it more private.
Like what?
Things like privacy coins and mixing services.
So it's all about giving people more control over their data.
Exactly. And that's important for individuals and businesses.
Privacy is becoming more and more valuable these days.
It really is. Okay, so we've got scalability, privacy. What else is on the horizon?
What innovations are you most excited about?
Well, one thing that's getting really interesting is the combination of Bitcoin and artificial intelligence.
AI and Bitcoin.
Yeah, we're seeing AI being used to analyze market data, predict prices, even execute trades automatically.
So like AI trading bots.
It is, but it goes beyond that.
Really?
AI can also be used to make mining more efficient, detect fraud, even develop new applications for blockchain technology.
Wow, so it's like AI is making Bitcoin even more powerful.
It is, and this convergence of AI and blockchain is something I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on.
Me too. It feels like we're on the verge of something huge.
We are. And don't forget, this revolution is still in its early stages.
It's just the beginning.
Exactly. There's so much more to come.
So buckle up, everyone.
It's going to be wild.
But if you're prepared, you can ride this wave.
Absolutely, and potentially profit from it.
We've covered a lot in the second part of our Bitcoin conversation. The environmental impact, regulations, manipulation, security risks, and all those exciting new innovations.
It's a lot to digest.
It is, but there's still one big question we need to answer. What does all of this mean for the future of finance?
That's the question, isn't it? And it's the one we'll be exploring in more depth when we come back.
Welcome back to the Profitable Mindset Podcast. We've been talking about Bitcoin's crazy ride to a new all-time high and all the risks and incredible tech advancements shaping its future.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And it's clear that Bitcoin is so much more than just some digital currency. It's like it's making us rethink everything we thought we knew about money, finance, even power.
It really is. Bitcoin is shaking things up, making us question those old financial institutions
Yeah.
and explore new ways of exchanging value.
And that's what I find so fascinating about it, the potential for Bitcoin to completely change the entire financial system as we know it.
It's a huge possibility.
It is. But we're talking about a system that's been around for centuries. How could Bitcoin disrupt something that's so deeply rooted?
I think it all boils down to those key principles we've been discussing. Decentralization, transparency, and security.
Okay.
Bitcoin operates independently outside the grasp of governments and central banks.
So no one's really in control.
Exactly. It's a peer-to-peer network.
Peer-to-peer.
Yeah. So transactions occur directly between individuals.
So you're cutting out the middleman.
Exactly. And this has huge implications,
Like what?
It means that financial services could become more accessible to people who've been left out of the traditional system.
Interesting.
Imagine a world where anyone, no matter where they are, what their credit score is, or their social status,
Yeah.
can access financial services like loans, savings accounts, even insurance, all through the Bitcoin blockchain.
So you're talking about democratizing finance.
That's the idea, giving individuals more control over their own money.
And you're saying this is already starting to happen.
It is. We're seeing this thing called decentralized finance emerge, DeFi for short.
DeFi.
It's basically building a whole new financial system
Wow.
right on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. These DeFi platforms are offering all sorts of services, from lending and borrowing to trading and managing assets.
All without those traditional banks.
Right. It's not just about replacing the current system. It's about creating something completely new.
Expanding the possibilities.
Exactly. It's about giving people more choices, more control over their financial lives.
That's empowering.
It is, especially for those who have been marginalized by the existing system.
You know, it's interesting. When you really think about it, Bitcoin is kind of taking us back to the roots of money.
What do you mean?
Before central banks and all those fancy currencies, people traded directly.
Bartering.
Right. They'd use gold, silver, even shells as a medium of exchange.
Interesting.
Bitcoin is like a digital version of that, a limited asset, decentralized, that can be used for transactions without needing a central authority.
That's a great point. It highlights another crucial aspect of Bitcoin.
What's
its potential as a safeguard against inflation. We've witnessed how those fiat currencies, like the US dollar, can lose their value over time.
Because of things like quantitative easing.
Exactly, where central banks basically print more money,
Right.
devaluing the currency and reducing people's purchasing power.
Yeah, your money's worth less.
Right. But Bitcoin, with its fixed supply of 21 million coins, can't be inflated in the same way.
So it's like digital gold, a store of value to protect your wealth from inflation.
That's the idea, and this is becoming increasingly appealing to investors.
Especially now.
In a world where inflation is rising
Right.
and trust in those traditional financial systems is fading.
We're already seeing this happen in places like Venezuela and Argentina,
Right.
where hyperinflation has wrecked their economies.
And people are turning to Bitcoin to save what they have left.
It's a powerful reminder that Bitcoin isn't just some speculative asset for tech-savvy investors. It's a real solution for people struggling with economic hardships.
Absolutely. And as more people grasp this, the demand for Bitcoin will likely surge, pushing its value even higher.
But it's not just about the price, right?
It's not just about the price, it's about those underlying principles. Decentralization, transparency, empowerment.
Shifting power from those big institutions to individuals.
Exactly. And that's what makes Bitcoin so disruptive, so revolutionary. It's challenging the very foundation of the financial system as we know it.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and thinking, this all sounds amazing, but where do I even start? What advice would you give someone who's curious about Bitcoin but not sure how to take that first step?
I'd say start by learning.
Okay.
Take the time to understand Bitcoin, how it works, the potential risks and rewards.
So do your research.
Exactly. There are so many resources available online, articles, videos, podcasts. Find a source you trust and dive in.
It's like learning a new language.
It is a new way of thinking about money and finance.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right. Join online forums, connect with other Bitcoin enthusiasts.
The community is so welcoming.
It really is. And once you have that basic understanding, you can start exploring ways to get involved.
So what are some of those ways?
Well, you could invest directly in Bitcoin.
Okay.
There are various exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, Binance.
Right.
Just be sure to choose a reputable exchange that's secure.
And of course, never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Absolutely. Cryptocurrencies are risky. Treat them with caution.
Good advice.
But investing isn't the only way to get involved. You could explore DeFi.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
It gives you the chance to lend, borrow, trade Bitcoin without actually owning it. Or you could support businesses that accept Bitcoin as payment.
So you're supporting the growth of this new ecosystem.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the impact of simply talking about Bitcoin, sharing what you know with friends and family, helping spread the word.
Raising awareness.
Exactly. Be a part of the conversation. Help shape the future of finance.
We've covered so much ground in this episode, talking about the driving forces behind Bitcoin's rise, the risks and challenges it faces, and those amazing technological advancements that are shaping its future.
It's been a deep dive.
It has. So to our listeners, whether you're a seasoned Bitcoin pro or just dipping your toes into this world, remember this. Bitcoin is more than just a digital currency. It's a movement.
Absolutely.
It's a challenge to the old ways, a catalyst for innovation, and a glimpse into a future where finance is more accessible, transparent, and empowering for everyone.
The future of finance is being written right now, and Bitcoin is at the forefront.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Bitcoin. We hope you found this insightful and feel inspired to keep exploring this exciting and ever-changing space. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay profitable.